December the 30th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful. It's time once again for your daily Torment Report, where we cover the two men who are most tormenting around the world, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I'm reading the chat here. They attacked Nick Shirley in Minnesota. Is he okay? It's not unusual for him to get attacked, and I wondered when he would when they were going to attack him. He went there with security. He knew what he was getting into. So, hey Kelly, welcome back to the show. All right, let's jump into what's going on with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. We'll start with Donald. He didn't really post a whole lot today. Let's move over here. Let's see. We left off here. One of Obama's most treasonous policies was to fund Iran's nuclear program. Yeah. All right. Picking up. We're not going to read these articles. He posted a bunch of these articles. If you're interested in reading them, here are the headlines. Amazon to invest up to $50 billion to build AI infrastructure for U.S. government agencies. All of this money. I mean, like the war. So here's the thing. There's a lot of money being dumped into artificial intelligence right now. A lot of money and a lot of resources. If you haven't heard, a lot of computer prices are starting to go through the roof, specifically GPUs and RAM or memory, because the companies that manufacture these components are being taxed in order to build for these data centers to support the AI infrastructure. The more they do this, the more I'm convinced that that's what it means to give breath life to the image of the beasts. Because the beasts, as defined by Daniel, typically in scripture is referring to a government or a kingdom. I know a lot of people want to say that they're giving image to the antichrists. There's a lot of speculation right now. Even Glenn Beck did a video yesterday on could Jesus come back as artificial intelligence. It would not surprise me if this what it is that they're building isn't giving breath to the image of the beast. And it doesn't mean it actually, I don't think it necessarily means it has to actually breathe. What I think it means is give it consciousness to where it's able to act independently. Because that's what really separates us with breath life is we have consciousness. We're unique individuals with our own free will. So it doesn't surprise me that they're continuing to invest in artificial intelligence. Something to keep your eye on. Kennedy Center is to be renamed Trump Kennedy Center. That's not brand new news. That's been in the news for a couple of days now. We got board votes Kennedy Center to be renamed Trump Kennedy Center. More about the Kennedy Center. Let's see. Trump hammers the mess Biden left on the border, inflation, wages, and he says he's fixing it, which that's par for the course. Something he says pretty much every day. Let's see. He is their salesman. Let's see. Jennings says Trump's speech signifies change in the GOP 2026 strategy. He's their salesman. Okay. Some of these I kind of want to read, but let's see. Trump, we're bringing economy back from the ruin. So I believe this is the head wound. I believe that Biden, so that the United States, I believe, is considered one of the heads of the beast from Revelation 13, first beast from the sea. Sea meaning people, nations, languages, and tongues. In other words, a democratic government of kinds, which also is a hybrid of the different beasts that Daniel saw in his day. Feet of the bear, body of a lion, mouth of a lion, all those things. Today, we're bringing the economy back from ruin. Trump's address ignites hope for future as gangbuster economy forecast for 2026. 2026 is the big question mark. What's it going to be like next year? It could really go either way. It really can. It could go the way of war, destruction, and death, or it could go the way of abundance and justice I lean towards probably not, considering the seal number 5 is the saints under the altar crying, "How much longer, Lord?" Until vengeance is visited on those, for killing people who were servants of the Lord. Liberal activist judges are waging war against Trump. Surprise, surprise. Trump Kennedy Center. I believe these are, let's see, what is this? He saved it. He deserves it. Cue the liberal meltdown. Yeah. All right. Anything else worth reporting? Trump has approached his second term with gusto, not seen in his first term. An unpredictable approach that leaves critics and supporters unable to gauge what comes next, what new policy he might adopt, and what long-held positions he could drop. Windmills. Yep. He's never been a big fan of windmills. Pretty much bad experiences with them. They're expensive. They break down. They don't really provide the amount of energy that you can get from coal, oil, or nuclear. They're like the worst. And then finally, he's got this: windmills are killing all of our beautiful bald eagles. Aw. Yeah. And then there's that. All right. There you go. How's that for a quick Torment report on Donald Trump? Let's move on to Elon Musk. He's got a lot more that he's posted, but we're probably going to skip a whole bunch of these because it's still just hammering the Minnesota fraud. We'll see. All right, what do you guys have for me in chat before we move on to Elon Musk? How do you get from 45,000 to over 30 million in 1 year and 174,000 a year and no assets? Seems somehow Elon Omar is very good at making money. Yeah, and it's no surprise that her constituency is those who are currently under investigation for $8 billion in fraud. It would not surprise me if they haven't figured out a clever way of funneling money to her in order to perpetuate the problem. Hey, maybe you should approve some more daycares. See, and her husband's company went from less than 1,000 in assets in 2023 to 25 million in 1 year. Yeah, that should trigger an IRS audit, unless you won the lottery. And all of this seems tied to the Meals Act that she pushed in Congress. There you go. And she got donations from 3 of the new convicted fraudsters in Minnesota. Yeah. Do you have an article or a video or anything, Fury, on the attack from Nick Shirley? Let me go look. Let's see. Nick Shirley attack. Nick Shirley attacked. Yeah.
Only Americans who's concerned with the Somali business is the ones who have no life. They have a lot of time in their hand. They broke. They don't have no money, no ambition, nothing. They don't even have hobbies. They depressed. They lonely.
So you mean to tell me you went all the way to Minnesota just to pocket watch? And then on top of that, put out misinformation. I'm sick and tired of them, bro. They stay hating on us, but for what, bro? Like, leave us alone.
People you will see who's worrying about this is not even racist. They just broke. They just don't have anything going on. They broke.
So this story just took a sharp turn. The massive fraud story starts blowing up. Millions of dollars in taxpayer money being stolen allegedly, daycare centers, no kids, actual state violations. And instead of talking about the fraud, one of the biggest streamers on the internet decides to go after the guy investigating it, not questioning the documents or the violations or questioning where the money went. No. He's just questioning why someone would even look. And you see it from here, this tweet from Hassan. I don't know what kind of fraud Somalis and daycares are doing, but I think it's a separate crime to try to storm with a camera into a daycare with kids in it. He doesn't know what kind of fraud is going on. Maybe he should, research it. He does.
That's a retarded statement. So he said Benny Johnson reported on it. I usually have Benny Johnson up here at the top. Where's Benny? Hannibal's hungry. Nick Shirley. Let's see.
Allow me to introduce myself. Gus Polinski, Polka King of the Midwest. The Kenosha Kickers? No?
It's
That's
messing with
okay. I thought
AI.
you might have recognized. Anyways, I had a few hits a few years ago.
So bizarre.
That's why I, just polka,
John
polka, polka,
Candy's voice
polka,
on the pirate.
Polka. No? Twin Lakes polka, Damavuji polka, a.k.a.
on the ground to expose over $100 million worth of fraud and fake daycares is the single most viewed video on all of X for the entire year. 127 million views, 227,000 reposts, 626,000 likes, and 146,000 saves. This is a monster of a viral video and is already having some real world effects. In fact, the state of Minnesota is now saying that they are doing site visits to every single Somali daycare that's getting money, and they're pausing the payment of stolen fraudulent revenue. Nick told Don Jr. there's a bounty on his head. Here we go.
They're so mad. The Somalians are so mad because can you imagine for years you're at the dinner table talking with your family about how everything's good. Oh, we don't need to worry because the government and whatnot. I mean, 81% of these people are on welfare, but on top of that, they're collecting millions of dollars for these companies. Tax exempt, by the way, especially the daycares. So can you imagine how mad they are now? Like, that's why they're right now, there's, like, people are so upset. Like, there's, like, bounties on me here in Minnesota because people are so upset as far as the fraud that's being exposed because they know their time's up and they know everyone's just sick and tired of this happening inside their own state and across America.
What have some of those threats been?
Yeah, there was apparently like a bolo that they used. That's the word that some people told me was on me.
Be on the lookout, bolo.
I can't reveal too much just because I don't want to reveal. But like, yeah, lots of messages, death threats, obviously on social media, and then it's just not the most safe thing for me to be moving around freely right now.
I think
Doesn't
that's
sound
fair.
like he was
Nick has every
physically
reason,
attacked.
of course, to believe that as they were traveling through Minneapolis, Minnesota,
Maybe.
there were Somalis following them in their vehicles. This is, of course, what happens when you're running a state-level criminal enterprise. Thank God he had proper security. I mean, he just had
Well, it
one
says
security
attacked
guard.
by Somalis in the
And thank
streets.
God that security guard was there as angry Somalis now start storming Nick and attacking Nick in the streets. Look at this. Why don't you do this to white businesses? Third world pirates can really get dangerous and struck a nerve. That's right. Nick is, of course, edging in and exposing what was such a lucrative fraud that it actually was bigger than the GDP of Somalia, saying that potentially $19 billion in fraud, the GDP of Somalia is $18 billion. So here, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play you a video of Nick Shirley getting attacked in the street, a man
All right,
threatening
here we
his
go.
life and saying that you need to leave my neighborhood. Not your neighborhood, not even your country, bro. This is how dangerous things have gotten. Here we go.
How you doing, man?
I just want to ask you,
Yes, sir.
why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we
to-
sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're
Are
not
you-
attacking your
are you-
community by any means.
Are you making
We're
good money
looking-
from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No, I'm
For
not-
instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607?
1 second.
It's not there.
How much money are
Why don't
you?
answer the
How much
question,
money
where's
are you
617
making?
Dreamline Security.
How much money are you
I
making
make
off
money
of
off
this?
of YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing
That my job
and attacking
is-
the Somali community.
I'm not attacking you guys. We're asking.
I'll tell you the
Fraud
reason
is
why
fraud,
this is
sir.
happening. All right. Let me
David,
tell you the reason why you're
fraud is
attacking
fraud,
this.
correct?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This
is
is
fraud.
absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right, and us being from Africa. This is a constitutional argument. If you don't want us here, change the freedom of religion. Say, listen, we don't want Muslims in this country anymore.
We're not saying
No,
that.
no, no, no.
We're not
Because
saying
when I go
Sir,
onto
we're
your
talking
comments,
about fraud. You're
when I go onto your comments,
My comments
what I
aren't
see
me.
is people that say we do not want Muslims here, kick every single Muslim in Minnesota out of Minnesota.
As if he
You are-
as
you're
if all the
preparing-
comments
you're preparing
are
for the
are
Somali
representative
community
of his
to
beliefs.
maybe be taken to concentration camps, just like the Japanese community. All right, you're sensationalizing.
No, we're not.
All right,
Sir,
something that
answer
can
the
listen.
question. Where-
That's something
where
that can
is the transportation
something that
vehicle
can
company?
jeopardize
Answer the
the
question.
safety and the protection of
This
the
is
Somali
fraud.
community.
We're talking
If
about
anything
fraud, sir.
happens to the
We're
Somali
talking about
community, listen,
fraud.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not physically touching
You're
him.
getting very close.
I'm not physically touching him. No, I'm not physically touching him.
Yeah,
This
they're
is
letting him him get
What
way
you're
too
doing-
close.
what
This
you're
is
doing-
the
what
security
you're
should
doing-
be keeping him
when I
further
go
away.
into your comments,
You're defending fraud.
people who hate Muslims, who want
people
us
can-
out of here
people can say
for
what they
being
want. I'm not
Muslim
censoring
are
anybody.
This guy's
using
getting
your
all
material.
riled up.
Islamophobes, use your material. People who hate Islam, use your material. Say to us, we don't want you here. Change the Constitution. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Guess what?
Say it. We're asking about
You know,
fraud.
what you do.
This guy's
you
clearly
hate
mad
Muslims.
about
I'm not
other
saying I
things,
hate
taking him
Muslims.
out
You
on
know
Nick.
you hate Muslims. Why are you attacking us? Are we the only community that suffers because of fraud?
We're talking about
Are we
fraud.
the only community that does fraud? Are we the only community that does this?
This is about fraud.
All right, but there's what, 300 Somali providers in all of Minnesota?
There's actually.
I'm not.
100.
Don't touch me. Is there like, do you speak English? Right? Your security doesn't even speak English. Listen, let me tell you something.
See, this isn't a race
Listen,
issue,
listen.
sir.
Let me
This
say
is about
something.
fraud.
We have what, 1,000 providers?
Yeah, you guys have a.
Even it's 2,000 providers.
Okay,
You
sir.
want to sacrifice the safety of
Sir.
80,000 people
We're not
because of 2,000 providers? Are you mad? Are you stupid?
I'm not stupid. You're stupid.
You're sensationalizing. What about if a mass shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you.
Ooh.
If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick Shirley. If any Somali, if one single Somali gets hurt,
Man, it takes a
it's
lot
because
of
of you. Sensationalizes.
a lot of
you son a
bravery
bitch.
to go into the lion's den like this
Get the
and
fuck
put
out
up
of our
with
neighborhood.
this.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
Can you tell me where the
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood. We don't want you here.
Oh, your neighborhood.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck
You know, Nick is very gentle in these situations, non-antagonizing.
You got clicks. You wanted clicks.
This guy's clearly looking for a fight.
You wanted YouTube? You wanted YouTube clicks? You got YouTube clicks. Now get the fuck out of our community.
Tell me where the
Get the
transportation.
fuck out of our community.
He's still asking
You
questions.
stupid racist motherfucker. Say I don't want Muslims here. Say I don't want Muslims here. Say it.
Why?
Say I want to change
Why does
the
he bring? Why is he
Constitution,
bringing this
and I
around to
wanna change
Muslims?
freedom of religion, and I don't want Muslim Somalis in Minnesota.
What
Kick them
are
out.
you talking
I
about,
was
dude?
born in
You're
this country.
clearly
You have to take
angry.
the passport away from me. That is what you are arguing for.
We're not talking.
Change the Constitution. Get the fuck out of my community. Get the fuck out of our community. Get the fuck out of our community.
Can't argue with a fool. That's right.
Stupid idiot.
That is an absolutely unhinged attack.
Indeed.
Fantastic
Okay.
ambassador for the Muslim.
So that was the attack. So not really a physical attack, a verbal attack, which is intense nonetheless. Thank you for that, Fury. That was worth looking into. All right, let's get on to Elon. Move over here. Maybe do a little bit bigger. All right. So basically picking up on Elon's timeline here with more Minnesota fraud. So we're gonna. Did we see this yesterday? I think we saw this yesterday. We'll see. Let's. DHS is on the ground in Minneapolis, going door to door at suspected fraud sites. Yeah, we saw this yesterday.
You know when the last time someone's been there? I see it's locked up and closed, but we had. No? Have you seen anybody come and go from there?
Yesterday I was working in Jordan. I go around, so yesterday I was not here.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
80,000 Somalis in Minnesota. I wonder how long has it taken for that? Is that all just from the Biden administration, or has this been a growing thing for longer? Following the exposure of millions in frauds at Somali-run care centers in Minnesota, similar concerns are now surfacing in Washington State. Ooh, that's close by, where 539 of about 5,000 licensed care centers are Somali-run, many lacking a physical address. Elon says not even an address. How can you do a daycare center without an address? Like, where am I going to take my kids? Interesting. So this is blowing up more than just, this is like a massive can of worms. More than just in Minnesota. All right, what do we got here? Is this a video? No. So for years, people attacked Elon Musk over government contracts won by SpaceX, contracts that saved taxpayers billions and literally rescued U.S. spaceflight. I think we read that yesterday too. All right, we're gonna skip all of his business posts. We don't really need to know about businesses unless it's something new and amazing. All right. In group chat with a bunch of smart, successful liberals who still don't understand how elections get stolen. Here's how voter fraud is done. Yeah, no ID. Oh, I remember that. We saw that yesterday. What about this? Millions of U.S. citizens were issued Social Security numbers under Democratic administrations, and many of them voted. Did we watch this?
In the Social Security database. This is
22
so
states.
crazy.
Huh.
And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah, so let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of maybe?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff they're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants.
Elon's an immigrant.
Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister are all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, notice to appear, which is to appear at a judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them.
You know, Elon revealed that you don't have to have a degree in order to be a judge in a lot of cases. They can be just appointed. Wouldn't it be funny if Donald Trump just appointed, like, I don't know, 100,000 Republican judges to go through and review all of those, all that paperwork of the approval, appear before a judge about your immigration status? That'd be funny. Just take what they did and make it work.
This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you've got asylum through one of these pathways, and we've mapped the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no ID.
This is worth, like, just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep. No. They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people. Wow. And make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself,
I wonder if that has to do with the second beast from Revelation 13, because it seems like the whole world is going towards, steal, killing, and destroying any way that it can It doesn't matter the consequences. They just want they just want democratic control. They want democratic control. They want the control by demons. Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, because we're seeing that everywhere. We're seeing that. So we're the last holdout here in America, I believe, unless there's other places that are holding out. But traditional like neutral countries like Finland and Sweden and stuff like that are being overrun by their suicidal empathy. It's just allowing the devil to just come in and take over these areas. The thing that worries me about the AI, like, I'm not convinced. I mean, I think the timing is interesting in regards to, so what I've said is where AI, I think, fits in the end times is Revelation 13, giving breath to the image of the beast. If the beast, and I go back and forth on this, on whether that second beast is Rome, the Roman Catholic Empire, which has been basically puppeting the countries for generations. Like the countries are on strings and Rome is just, making them dance. But a lot of the stuff that's coming in here at the end, a lot of the language does seem to involve Muslims and Islam. Now, I do understand that there are good Muslims and that there are bad Muslims. I understand that. Sunni and the Shiites. And from what I understand, one is peaceful, one is incredibly violent. So I'm really just kind of on the wait and see what happens, because I don't know if this second beast from the sea is going to be more Rome related or more Muslim related. That's kind of the big question. If it's Muslim, are they a big push behind artificial intelligence? I'm not seeing a big push behind artificial intelligence. Maybe if they were to build something to enforce Sharia law. But I could definitely see the Roman Catholic Church investing a lot in artificial intelligence and using that as a new form of government enforcement. And that's where I could see, giving giving breath to the image of the beasts so that it can speak and cause the whole world to take the mark of the beast, basically enforce a religious belief. It's funny because both of those religions are trying to force people to believe what it is that they believe. Both of them. So it could go either way. Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe it is Chrislam.
Believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it. And Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system, from Social Security to all of the benefit programs, have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people.
Wow.
And minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. Right. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already. That is already happening.
That is an interesting point, Fury. Neither Islamic religion nor Roman religion were in the world when Revelation was written. That's right, because it was written, they argue, between 60 AD and 90 AD. Islam, that's about the time Islam really, because didn't they destroy the temple in like 70 AD? I believe that's when the temple was destroyed. No, that was Roman. Was that Rome? Rome was in power, but not as a religion. It was an empire. It became a religion. Rome became a religion. And it clinged on to what Jesus had started and then turned it into its own doctrine so that it can control. And a lot of people don't realize that that's what happened. A lot of people don't realize that the reason there are so many denominations and they share commonality is because of Rome. That's why it's so important to really care about the details of what's written in the scripture. It's why I get so frustrated when people conflate sections of scripture together, because they're just doing the work of Rome to keep people enslaved. If you want to be free, if you want to really understand what's happening, what's coming, you've got to pay attention to the details. This is why Jesus said there's many, if you don't watch, he's going to come upon you like a thief in the night. But unfortunately, what's happening is a lot of these, religious people, they recognize that we're in the end times, and rather than watching, they they're repeating the approved narrative and trying to stamp it by saying Jesus came to them and told them something, or they had a dream and a vision, because they want that approval. They want people to watch them and believe them because they believe so strongly in their heart that they're right. And really what they're doing is they're just lying. They're continuing to perpetrate the lie. And then when those things don't come to pass, they're proved to be false prophets. So it's interesting that Jesus, when his disciples asked him, how will we know, what's going to happen before you return? And the very first thing he said is, do not be deceived, for many will come in my name saying, I am the anointed, and there will be many false prophets. So it's a big thing. And and it's funny because when looking at the stars and looking at the events, the first thing that skeptics say is, oh, no man knows the day or hour. And then usually some excuse about, looking to the stars being witchcraft or whatever. It's like, seriously, dude, this is how you know what month it is. It's how I know it's December, because of where the sun is. It's how I know that it's 5 o'clock at night, because where the sun and the moon are. It's not witchcraft. People are silly. All right, let's move on. Yeah. Yep. I think it's exposing people. It's funny how all of this comes together, because it's with the seals being opened, and I do believe that this is the curse going throughout the world. What it's doing is it's exposing people. And I do believe you're going to have to give an answer. If you're one of those people that are making these false claims, if just because you believe it so strongly in your heart that you think it's okay to say God told you something, or that God gave you a vision or a dream, as some kind of approval that you're anointed and that your words are true, you're going to have to answer for that. I'm going to have to answer for everything I said. That's why I make sure as hell that everything I say is factual. Everything that I present is, I wish people were more like this, that you would strive to be honest about what you're good at and what you fail at. I'm an idiot. I have to break things down simply so that I can understand them. And that jives with some people, because when it's simplified, it's easier to understand. People who have this complex narrative about the end time don't like that, because it doesn't fit with their narrative. But everything I say, I try to use facts. The eclipses are facts. They literally happened, and the events that happened on those days literally happened. I have the evidence. I have the proof. I was there. I saw it. And it happens to match up with what's written in the scripture. So many data points like that have come together at this point that it's literally just, in my mind, common sense. If you're watching, if you're literally just watching and paying attention to these things, it's common sense. But if you're not watching, if you're spending all of your time listening to false prophets and false teachers who are prophesying what Jesus told them, or, an angel came to them in the night and told them that Jesus is coming soon. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Jesus is coming soon. We're in the end times. That's... Why should I listen to you just because you're stating the obvious? This is why Jesus said, if you're not paying attention, he will come upon you like a thief in the night. I actually am giving you dates here. If you guys are new, we do actually have dates. Oops, I got signed out. We do actually have some dates, but it's based on a pattern, with the eclipses, and the opening of seals 1 through 4. It's really fascinating that there's a mirror image of those openings. So they're just basically high watch times for us. Anyway, I'm ranting. Let's move on. Islam wasn't invented until 610. Who was it that destroyed the temple? It was Rome, wasn't it? The Roman Church didn't start until 590 AD. Well, what about the Council of Nicaea at 325 AD? Wasn't Rome I don't know if those dates are correct. Of course, I know you've studied Rome, the Roman Catholic Church, quite extensively, but what about the Council of Nicaea at 325? Was that not the Roman Catholic Church? There was a fake decree that claimed that Constantine gave Rome to the church in the 700s, by which the church then gained power over Rome and built the Vatican. But it was a lie. Interesting. All right, moving on. So from the U.S. Department of Justice, reposted by Elon Musk, we have charged 98 individuals in relation to fraud in Minnesota. More than 60 have pled guilty or been convicted. More to come. Let's see. Welfare redistribution was really about helping the people. Then their proponents should care more about fraud. That's money not going. Yeah, that's right. If you actually cared, about these programs, you would be upset by the fraud. The fact that they're not upset by the fraud is indicative that they're in on it. Wikipedia has been completely weaponized. Yeah, don't use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a weapon. That was the Catholic Church, but it wasn't ruled by Rome. Okay. The church later split between the Roman Church and the Orthodox Church. Okay. Humans are hardware, cultures are software. We have fundamentally the same hardware, but adopt very different software. Not all software is compatible. America's software is built on universal principles and respect for law. Developing countries often run software that prioritizes tribe, custom, and heritage. That's okay, but it's incompatible. When an immigrant comes to America, they need to choose America's software over the software of the place they're leaving. Otherwise, America gets buggy and dysfunctional. Some countries have software more similar to America, and immigrants from those places will likely have an easier time integrating. That's pattern recognition, not prejudice. But the promise of America is that anyone who adopts our software and adds value to the lives of people already here gets to be here. You don't get to be here just because you want to be here. You need to bring something to the table. Millions of people want to come. We can have empathy for all of them, but we can't accommodate all of them. That's right. The whole world doesn't fit in the United States, at least not under the current situation. That's why merit-based immigration is the only rational path forward. Don't let people scare you into silence by calling you racist for recognizing this. This is how citizens of other countries approach their country. Why should America be any different? Human hardware versus cultural software model. I like that. That's a good analogy. I would argue, though, that the right software would be the Torah. If the whole world would agree on the law of Moses, I think that would be God's preferential choice for the software that we all run. But I'm serious about that. I know, but well, and it's interesting because a lot of Christian religions and a lot of religions, not even to pick on Christian religions, but a lot of religions are fundamentally incompatible with the Torah. There's a large group of Christians who think the Torah has been completely made irrelevant. Most of them are very ignorant and don't know what they're talking about. They don't realize that Jesus lived Torah. And by Torah, I mean the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And then you also have the Tanakh, which is all the law and the prophets, which are mostly what's bundled in your canon of the Old Testament. But the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, should be the standard software that everybody runs. And that's pretty much my understanding of the way it's going to be when Christ comes back, because Christ lived Torah, therefore he represents Torah. And if you're going to follow him, you're going to keep Torah. So let's see. Here's how vouching works for Minnesota residential facilities. Shakron, I work for a residential facility. My 300 residents want to vote. Election day worker, show me you're an employee. Shukran, here you go. Shows badge. Election day worker, all 300 can vote. Okay. Starlink, we're going to skip this stuff. Democrats want to legalize all illegals, which would turn all swing states blue immediately and ensure permanent one-party rule in America. This is Elon Musk. You're messianic? I'm messianic too. I believe Jesus is I believe Jesus is the Messiah. I believe he is the second Adam. And eventually the Jews are going to recognize that Yeshua is the Messiah they've been waiting for. I think we're very close to that day. I think we're very close to the Jews having that recognition that Jesus is their Messiah. Because everything that's happening, Jesus prophesied about. He told us beforehand. That's why one of the missions of this channel is to highlight John 14:29. I tell you these things beforehand so that when they come to pass, you will believe. I think that is directed towards the Jews of our day, those who keep Torah and teach Torah, and more often than not speak the language that Torah was originally written in, Hebrew and Esro-Anglo-Aramaic. Well, that's Tanakh. All right.
So, the way it's important in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate. That's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing,
losing voters.
If we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave and they will lose voters.
Leave or be kicked out. I don't know if they'll leave. Although they're having more success with a voluntary deportation than they are with the hunt them down and kick them out. For good reason. They're making it very unappealing to stay here and be kicked out. Let's see. My sister, Tosca Musk is posting 10-minute teaser of Passion Flicks movies with the full movie available to subscribers. Ooh, interesting. What's this about? 10 minutes. We're not going to watch this whole thing, but I'm curious what's the basis for this. Hollywood Dirt. Emma Rigby. We got a lot of those. A lot of roosters on our property.
Our quiet town of 7,000 residents holds more than Southern manners and prize-winning fried chicken recipes. We also hold discretion.
I didn't know he had a sister.
The biggest indication of which lies in our bank's coffers and buried in our dirt. Cash. Lots and lots of it. In our small town, we have 45 millionaires and 3 billionaires. That's a rough guess. It all depends on how stupid or smart the generations have been with their Crown Cola stock. That's where it came from. Crown Cola. Say Pepsi or Coca-Cola in this town and you best watch your back on the way out. It was Cole Maston.
It looks pretty good. Passion Flicks. What is this? Is this kind of like a Pure Flix kind of a deal? Has anybody heard of Passion Flicks? Turning your favorite romance. Here, let me move my. Oh, is this passion as in sexual passion? Something for the wifey? Turning your favorite romance novels into movies and series. Download the app and watch now. Oh, I was hoping it'd be like Pure Flix. All right, well, if you're into Passion Flicks, ladies, my wife will be interested. My wife is an avid reader. She loves this thing, especially if there's anything with horses in it. All right, moving on. Let's see. I didn't realize Elon Musk had a sister. Need to investigate. All right, moving on. They don't steal from you because you're racist. They call you racist so that they can steal from you. Yeah, it's called a distraction. Let's see. Fury says, part of Armageddon is that the Jews will find themselves in an untenable position and will call upon God and will realize who Jesus really is. and then he will come save them. Huh. Yes. I didn't mean to, that was a, I was reading your next post. His sister sounds very Southern. That was the That's why I said All right, moving on. LLM share, Grok. We don't care about Grok right now. I've been noting scams like what the Somalis in Minnesota are doing as a major source of fraudulent autism diagnosis for a while now. So much of the apparent autism epidemic is this style of grift. Oh, yeah, like the cases of autism skyrocketed after 2018, very likely indicative of the fraud skyrocketing, not actual autism. And that, it's interesting because that is one thing that's not always considered when looking at stats and sunrises and things, is there could be circumstances in things that you're unaware of that are affecting the statistics. Sudden jumps should be paid attention to. This would have been an indicator of fraud. Why is autism skyrocketing? And all they would have had to do is send people to the centers that are reporting the autism to investigate, and they would have discovered the fraud. Let's see. I, for one, applaud the brilliance of Somali entrepreneurs who realize running a daycare for children is much more profitable without the daycare or the children. Indeed, a lot cleaner. All right, reposted. Asmongold goes off on the Minnesota daycare fraud and how wealthy Americans and Hassan defend it. Average Americans are tired of having their country rotted out, looted, pillaged by a bunch of random effing third worlders and then asked to apologize for it. What? This kind of sounds interesting.
That's it. And average Americans are tired of having their country rotted out, looted, pillaged by a bunch of random fucking third worlders and then asked to apologize for it because of something that happened before we were born.
Right.
This is outrageous. I'm tired of it. Most people are tired of it. And I'm also tired of pretending that I'm not tired of it. It's outrageous. Yes, absolutely. And there's another thing, too, is that these...
Oops.
Outrageous. Yes, absolutely. And there's another thing, too, is that these insulated, generally white liberals that live in gated communities vote to bring in all of these people that cause violence, that commit crime, that do fraud, and that have all of these problems because they never have to see it. Their only interactions with illegal aliens are when they come in to clean their fucking house. And so, yeah, they think that they're great. But whenever you're the person whose job is being displaced because of this illegal alien, when you're the person who now has to pay a higher premium for your health care, you have to pay a higher premium for your insurance, for your home insurance or your car insurance, because these fucking parasites have come in from other countries. They're stealing our money, they're committing crimes, they're stealing identities, and they're raising everybody's fucking rates, going to the emergency room. They can't even speak fucking English. And all of these people, if you call this out, somehow now you're the problem. No, I don't fucking think so. I think I'm tired of this. I think most people are tired of this. And I'm tired of these fucking losers, these pathetic...
I'm all for cuss words. Matter of fact, my daughter's first word was shit. So if that gives you any indication about us cussing around here. But I'm a big proponent about it being used properly, not being overly used. It's just another form of language. My opinion is if you try and change the curse words, you're just going to find another word that has the same exact meaning. A good example is we had replaced stupid with not special. With what did we replace it with? What was it? We changed the word stupid. I want to say to special. That person is so special, but it wasn't special. It was something like sweet. I think we replaced it with sweet. That person is so sweet, and it was our way of still saying that they're stupid. You will find a way to express what it is that you intend to express. The other example is my grandma would always say poop instead of shit, which they're the same word. You're expressing the same thing. Language is meant, to express ideas and emphasis and also emotions. And there's definitely the right place and wrong place for using certain words. So I'm all for curse words. Just use them right. Just drives me nuts when they're not used, when they're overly used. Spend more time articulating. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to use the F word to make your point. It starts to be a detractor on you as a communicator when you use it too much. When Elon made a hand gesture in passion, they wrote hundreds of articles calling him a racist. When Somalis steal billions of dollars, they call the people who are upset racist. It appears that the best way to loot the country is to call everyone racist. Fair enough. Holy cow, Minnesota voter fraud. This is the form used to vouch up to 8 voters on election day for people that don't have IDs. If you read closely, it says employees of residential facilities may vouch for an unlimited number of facility residents. This is legal. This is Minnesota law, which means that there should be a paper trail of every single one of those vouching forms. How many persons serve as vouchers each election? What is the number of persons for each voucher? Do these vouchers show up every single election? We need to begin submitting data practice requests to the Minnesota Secretary of State. Actually, the United States of America is suing every state for their election data and their voter rolls. So there are things happening. Oh no, did it do it? Darn it. Twitter does this thing sometimes where the back button doesn't take you back, it just takes you to your profile page. Where were we? Man, there's a lot of posts today. Maybe we should start going quicker. We might start skipping the is this where we were at? Nope. We may start skipping the Minnesota voter fraud, since that's just like, unless there's like brand new. We watched that yesterday. Good Lord. Wow. Wow. So many. I mean, this guy posts so much. Here we are. This is where we were at. All right. Crowd-funded Doge. Okay, so that is Nick Shirley. Minnesota. We saw this one yesterday. The reason is the Democratic Party is buying their votes. So there's a lot of voter fraud and money fraud being posted here. It's a plan that's been working. Tesla, SpaceX, journalism. What's this? Journalism is about covering important stories with a pillow until they stop moving. Talk about covering it until it's dead, until people get the point. Agreed. That's good. As I was saying in February of this year, at this point, I am 100% certain that the magnitude of the fraud in federal entitlements, security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, disability, exceeds the combined sum of every private scam you've ever heard of by far. Indeed. Yeah. More Somali fraud, Somali scams. His sister. Elon, creator should use the teaser and subscribe model on X. I do need to start writing articles on X. One of the reasons, I realize you guys might like the 2-hour time frame. One of the reasons why I want to try and get it to an hour is because then I can use the additional time at night to either make other videos or to write articles and do other things. Right now, with it going so late into the evening, when we go for 2 and 3 hours, it just cuts into the available time I have. Because I'm up at 7, 8 o'clock every day going to work. So, and then I usually don't stop working until 8 or 9. Let's see, try out releasing most content for all and some for subscribers only. Oh. If I ever start raising money for the channel again, maybe I'll use that feature. Subscribers on X. Let's see. Somalis. What is this? Little Joey still looking for daycare in Minnesota. Looks like a zombie apocalypse show. What is this? Trump reacts to Somali. I haven't seen this yet. Trump
The
reacting.
mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool. I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. These Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, you know, it just happened. They have destroyed Minnesota, that beautiful land, that beautiful state. It's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... Go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution.
Wow. Harsh words. Massive fraud in all government handouts. Yep. More passion flicks. Being racists. That was from Nick's Somali video. What's this guy? He's usually pretty good. He's talking about Somalia. Ted Cruz. The Somali community came to Minnesota to discover American politicians. Let's see what Ted's got to say.
Governor, in his tweet that he put out on 10/20 of 2023, he said, quote, Minnesota's economy doesn't work without child care providers, so we're giving them a raise. We're providing $316 million in direct funding to boost pay for child care providers, all while building a stronger child care system for middle-class families. Learn more at mn.gov/DHS/partners, and many of the groups that were defrauding our government are listed in that governor's text and tweet right there.
Well, look, this is a story, number one, about fraud. It's about corruption. It's about political corruption. It is about an immigrant community, the Somali community, that came over and discovered American politicians willing to be partners with them, partners in robbing the taxpayers. The scale of this theft, it really boggles the mind. You're looking at a period of years where Minnesota spent $18 billion on Medicaid, and up to half of it, $9 billion, was fraudulent. One out of every $2 spent was stolen. And the absolute staggering brazenness of this really makes the jaw drop. But it also, there was a vicious and corrupt circle where Minnesota politicians, Democrats, shoveled money to these Somali fraudsters. The Somali fraudsters made millions and even billions of dollars. They sent millions and even billions of dollars back to Somalia, back to Al-Shabaab, the Islamic terrorist group there. But they also gave thousands or even millions of dollars to Democrat politicians to get them elected. And in turn, they shoveled even more and more cash. The two joined together. It was like Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah. Traitor Tim Walz. What's he up to? Breaking. It has been revealed a whistleblower inside Minnesota's DHS, Scott Stillman, uncovered the Somali daycare fraud network in 2018, accurately citing figures of $100 million in fraud. Yeah, we learned that yesterday. This has been an ongoing issue since, but I thought it was 2016. It goes as far back as 2016, I thought. Small point of disagreement with Elon Musk about $1 trillion of fraud. Some of this actually goes beyond fraud. Some is actual treason. Directly aiding people who hate America and want to see it fail. This is treason. It's not just corruption. Fair point. Fraud and corruption alone is enough to kick people from office and put them in jail. 1.5 trillion is a number so unfathomably large that fraud alone would be insane. But here is Article 3 of the Constitution's definition of treason. Treason against the United States shall consist only of levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Yikes. Politicians are giving our enemies aid and comfort. Yes, putting them up in five-star hotels. Yeah, to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. How are Walz, Omar, etc. still in office? What are we even doing? You are here. Stewardship, waste, misdirection, fraud, and corruption. Treason. Quality Leering Center. That's pretty good, Arthur. That's from Arthur MacWaters, reposted by Elon Musk with a response of true. This is more fraud. This is different fraud. What is this?
You know, during the Biden administration, there were over 12 million illegal aliens that came over the border, straining our housing supply and making the costs go up. And so we work with Secretary Noem at DHS, as you alluded to make sure that only American citizens are living in HUD-funded housing. We also took away FHA-backed mortgages from illegal aliens during the Biden administration. They turned a blind eye. But we're going to keep the law to make sure that these mortgages, which are backed by the taxpayer, go only to the American people. And lastly, we are mandating that every public housing authority...
Yeah, I imagine anywhere that fraud was capable, there's probably fraud as a result of the Biden administration because they were just rubber stamping everything. So it doesn't surprise me that there's fraud in FHA and HUD. People better start going to jail in Minnesota. Agreed. Come on. The single biggest thing Democrats are worried about is the turning off. You know, I wish they would put Elon Musk in charge of the justice system, because one of the things that he's really good at is getting through all the noise. He's very quick at getting things done. He's not about dilly-dallying. I imagine that if he was in charge of the justice system, they'd be in jail already. It's like, put him in jail. It's like we need a temporary change of guilty until proven innocent. Or jail the most obvious. He'd probably come up with something of like jail the most obviously guilty. You know, and then figure out the paperwork later. People need to start going to jail. Government was wasting taxpayer money on transgender animal surgeries. Yeah, it's because they're killing so many people in the transgender surgeries. They probably needed to figure out their procedures to stop killing people. I don't think we watched this yesterday.
There's been, you know, if you look at the Inspector General reports and the Government Accountability Office, there have been many audits that have pointed out that there's a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. In fact, there was a report issued by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, last year, so it's a Biden administration thing. So what we're trying to do is get that number down to a much smaller figure, save money for the American taxpayer, stop money being spent on things that I think very few taxpayers would agree make sense. You know, transgender animal surgeries, or why are we spending money? Why are American tax dollars being spent on this? There's been...
Breaking, I'm calling for denaturalization and deportation of every Somali engaged in fraud in Minnesota. Read my full statement below. This is from Tom Emmer. I have 3 words regarding Somalis who have committed fraud against American taxpayer. Send them home if they are here illegally. Agreed. Deport them immediately. If they are naturalized citizens, revoke their citizenship and deport them quickly thereafter. If we need to change the law to do that, I will. Our nation will not tolerate those who take advantage of our charity and refuse to assimilate into our culture. Additionally, if any naturalized Somali had undisclosed ties to terrorist organizations like Al-Shabaab, I want to see their citizenship revoked and their asses sent back immediately. Same goes for anyone who is found to have committed marriage fraud during the immigration process. Elon Omar. Let's see, I was reliably told that illegal aliens don't receive Medicaid. Therefore, this should be a blank file, right? Very big file. Let's see. You want to know where the fraud is? Look at Lutheran Social Services. This is interesting. LSS is a network of nonprofit social service. You know, the thing is there's probably a lot of fraud in religion as well. A lot of pastors who teach could care less about God and the Bible and the Torah and living right. It's a tax shelter because a lot of churches get it, you know, they don't pay taxes. You can imagine that incentivizes people to start churches. I know many people who have started churches and ministries for that exact reason. One of the reasons why I was adamant when starting Two Witnesses Live that this will never be called a church, never be called a ministry, because I'm not doing this as a tax loophole or as a tax shelter. One of the reasons we don't even really raise money at this point, completely, this is funded from my time. As long as I have a job, that'll be the case. Just because that's, how can you believe somebody who is making large sums of money? And that's the unfortunate reality of a lot of these mega churches. There's some really good series on one really good series called The Business of Religion. Really good series that goes through and has been researching that for the last 12 years. That should be the next big fraud investigation that America goes after. Probably less likely to go after that one since Trump is trying to bring religion back to America. But still, it's a place of fraud. So LSS is a network of nonprofit social service organizations in the U.S. that provide government-funded and charitable services. Their charity begins with the money you earn through your hard work. Their CEOs across, if the money that gets donated to charities and to these organizations, if it actually went towards the thing that they claim that it's a charity for, the world would probably be a much different place. Unfortunately, a lot of these structures and organizations and entities are just ways for people to not pay taxes. Their CEOs across different states make $300,000 to over $400,000 a year. They are the ones resettling migrants and refugees to the states with the most generous welfare and social assistance programs. Most LSS affiliates get 70 to 90% of their revenue from government sources. Man, I'm in the wrong business. Funding from federal programs like HHS, DHS, and HUD, Medicaid, and refugee programs, state and county contracts, smaller amounts from donations and grants. Minnesota affiliate reported $222.9 million in government fees and grants for 2024. Illinois affiliate received $78 million in government grants. These are the people responsible for placing migrants in your neighborhoods using resources meant for your community. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, that's the thing. Most money donated to charities go to administrative costs. I need to start a charity so that I can live off, so that I can become an administrative cost. Should I make a t-shirt of like that? I want to be an administrative cost for my charity. That's how I earn my salary. I'm joking. Obviously, I wouldn't do that because that would be dishonest. But they should wear a shirt that's like, I'm an administrative cost of a charity. The wildest thing about the Somali daycare scandal is that apparently the government's goal was to subsidize daycares for random immigrants, while tax-paying American parents have been complaining for years they can barely afford child care with two incomes. This is true. And this is my point. Like, they could have avoided detection by literally just running legitimate childcare. The fact that they weren't running childcare, meaning somebody was trying to maximize the money that they were receiving. Why? Where's that money going? Why are they trying to maximize the money to where they can't even, in a childcare, have 10 children? Elon has made this point about fraud. It's like, one of the things that they've done in order to slow down the fraud is simply asking questions. Like during the Biden administration, they would just write blank checks with no reason. Their checks going out the door, they have no idea where they went. Literally adding a line item for where it's going will allow them to actually trace and identify fraud. Little things. So they could have avoided detection if they had just literally been able to show that children were at the daycare. Let's see. So you're telling me Tim Walz burned through a $19 billion state surplus? Yes, Dave. And then he raised taxes by $9 billion and increased spending by 40%. Interesting. I bet you that's happening in a lot of states. It's probably why they're going after Washington next. Washington's raising their numbers crazy. Today's cover, a bombshell video put Tim Walz under fire over the alleged Somali daycare. Walz closed in. All right, what is this? Let's see. Everything is just about Somalis today.
Maaga Egawa Jacob Fry. Doke Magalada, Minneapolis.
Okay. Donaldo Trumpo. What is
An Shaabka Somaliyed. Kayamid
Is this him trying to speak Somali but getting it wrong?
Mogadishu. Getaway.
Oh, he took Somali at the Quality Lyrian Center. Okay. I'll let you guys read that one. It's inappropriate. Let's see. This one's new.
Secondly, we're just here because our agency said that you were given a notice of inspection, and that we're just here making sure that you're compliant with and verifying that you're given the documents.
Yes, I did that.
Yeah, you did that already? That's all great, okay? So that's all we're here for, okay? All right, cool. All right, peace out. Secondly, we're just
More in Minneapolis. Investigative conducting a massive operation to identify, arrest, and remove criminals who are defrauding the American. But yeah, but they didn't remove anything. All they did was ask him a question. He answered in the affirmative.
here because our agency said that you were given a notice of inspection, and that we're just here making sure that you're compliant with and verifying that you're given the documents.
Yes, I did that.
Yeah, you did that already?
Can we see the paperwork?
That's all great, okay? So
Can we see the proof that you did that?
That's all we're here for, okay? All right, cool. All right, peace out. Secondly, we're just here because our agency said that you were...
They just make it easy to defraud the American government and defraud the people. Elon Musk reposted from the White House the autopin president riddled with fraud and mismanagement. Yeah, power to take peace from the earth. Biden-era rental assistance included payments to dead tenants and non-citizens. New HUD report reveals. Fraud will be growing. Tim Walz blames the Somali fraud on white people, the Somali community, for not being educated on our laws. Anything but the truth. So much on Minnesota. Skipping more of this Minnesota fraud stuff. There's just so much of it. I did it again. Okay, we're going to start from the top down this time. Okay, Elon's pinned post. XAI has bought a third building called Macro Harderer. Two things in engineering. Naming things is one of them. Will take XAI training compute to almost 2 gigawatts. Try Grok. Download the latest app. Sorry, my allergies. There's something in the studio here that's triggering my allergies. I think we may have gotten like a pollen bloom of some kind because the weather is doing this weird thing to where it gets like down to freezing in the evenings or at night, and then it's like sunny during the day, and I think it's tricking out the trees, and they're putting out a lot of pollen or something like that. And it makes me have a crazy stuffy nose. So if you wonder why I sound a little different today, it's because that's the reason. Or whatever. There's something in here. Could be a sudden bloom of mold too. We'll clean out the studio to figure out what it is. I might need to put in like a industrial scale air filter or something because this is crazy. NGOs are often used helping children as a shield for corruption. Yep. Let's see. The parts of USAID that were even slightly useful weren't eliminated. They were simply transferred to the State Department.
The parts of USAID that were found to be even slightly useful were transferred to the State Department. So they've not been deleted, they've simply been transferred to the State Department. But many times over with USAID and other organizations, when they've said, oh, well, this is going to help children, or it's going to help some disease eradication or something like that. And then when we ask for any evidence whatsoever, I say, well, please connect us with this group of children so we can talk to them and understand more about their issue. We get nothing. They don't even try to come up with a show orphan, meaning like this sort of like, well, can we at least see a few kids? Like,
right?
Where are they? If they're in trouble, we'd like to talk to them and talk to their caregivers. Okay, and then we get nothing as a response because it's what we find is an enormous amount of fraud and graft.
Okay, let me put this example to you.
Very little of it actually gets to the kids, if anything at all.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they're not even going through the effort to even try. Like, show us one kid. Somalia is ranked 179th out of 180 countries ranked in corruption. on the Corruption Perceptions Index. All right. Full self-driving. For decades, so from Stephen Miller, for decades, the structure of U.S. society by intent and design was remade to redistribute wealth, resources, property, and opportunity from Americans to non-Americans. These looted assets were then used to finance the Democrat Party. And Bill Ackerman responds, a year ago I would have thought this to be an overstatement. With the benefit of recent information, I have come to believe that Stephen Miller speaks the hard truth. Yep. Full 42 minutes of the report. This looks new. From Libs of TikTok, breaking Kendron Barnes, a career criminal with over 40 arrests and nearly 40 convictions, or 50 arrests and 40 convictions, was just arrested again in Connecticut after he allegedly stabbed a man in the back of the head with a machete, killing him. Yikes. Barnes is now charged with murder and is being held on a $2.5 million bond. Jail the judges. Agreed. These judges need to be removed from the bench. Yes, indeed. They do. That would solve that would prevent crimes. That would have kept that guy alive. Let's see, what has he got going on here? Oh, we saw this on Katie.
I guess the biggest single thing is that there are massive transfer payments going to illegal immigrants, like massive. Essentially, we're paying people to come here from somewhere else in vast numbers, including flying them in. So, like, it's not like you need a border wall if you're flying them in.
Yeah, and that's something that Monkey Works, if you've ever seen his channels, he was tracking the planes as they were literally flying and bringing in immigrants. Like, he's got thousands of hours of tracking the planes bringing immigrants into the United States during the Biden administration.
Then fast tracking them to citizenship and making them beholden to government payments, and voting hard left. That's essentially, it's like voter importation.
Yeah.
If you create a gigantic money magnet to, you say, if anyone comes here from anywhere else, we're going to pay you tons of money, give you lots of free stuff. Come to America and get paid to do so. Like, you're going to get a lot of people.
You know what I just realized? So the beasts from the sea in Revelation 13, very likely democratic in nature, for the people, by the people. By moving all of these immigrants around to all of the different heads that make up the beasts, it's no longer representative of for the people, by the people. They're bringing in their intention is to change it to a democratic beast. That seems to be the intention, and that might very well be the second beast, run by Democrats. Not democratic, but run by Democrats. Run by the far left. Just say it that way.
Taking up on that offer. When people say, like, this is fake, I'm like, actually, well, let's look at Ilhan Omar, who was.
I have to believe that they were restrained from doing this previously because there was semblance of, law and justice prior to this happening. We really started to see these big spiritual movements in 2016 when Donald Trump won the presidency. I almost wonder if that's not when the restrainer was removed.
Voted into power.
Like, maybe there was some certain level of restraint that allowed the democracy to actually be voted by the people, and representatives to a degree were actually representative of the people. That seems to no longer be the case. The world, for whatever reason, is moving towards really this one world globalist government, and you see the mechanism that they use to do it.
Voted into Congress by a large group of people from Somalia who are in Minnesota, which is really far from Somalia.
Yeah.
or Mamdani, who was voted as to be mayor, but but by a majority of people who are not born in America. That's my understanding, at least. And then California is a big time situation. So I don't know. We just don't want to turn into a communist hellhole, basically.
Yeah. Don't want to turn into a communist hellhole. James O'Keefe, haven't heard from him in a while. What's this about?
James O'Keefe here in downtown Minneapolis at the scene of the crime. The person you're about to meet, Liban Muhammad, aka King Liban I, boasts about the hundreds of absentee ballots in his car.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Waa ujeedaan gaarigaygu waa buuxaa. Waxaas waa absent ballot salka yaala. Soo ma jeedin. Fiiri. Waxaasoo dhan.
Yeah, this is a throwback to 2020 when James O'Keefe, then CEO of Project Veritas, had uncovered fraud in Minnesota or Minneapolis. I remember this.
Waa buuxaa gaarigaygu. Waa buux ka yaala. Waxaas kullu waa Jamaal Cusmaan wey. Fiiri. Fiiri. 300 clear months soo dhacday oo Jamaal Cusmaan. Yeah.
There was video. You can see the video. There was a video out and about that he has the ballots in his car.
Right.
And talking about the only way you can win is with money. I was looking at them and they were not filled. They were blank.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots? People who work with, like Ilhan Omar. Where do they pay the money?
Interesting.
The minute we sign the thing, the election, that's what you get paid.
Money is everything. Money is the key in this world. If you ain't got money, you should not be here, period.
Marka odayaasha waa loo codsadaa.
Waa loo codsadaa, ha.
Waana laga qaadaa.
Waa laga qaadaa, ha.
At the end of this street,
yes,
there's 3 towers called One Towers.
Okay.
And it's all seniors, and they took every ballot.
Every ballot. They just take them from them.
Every single ballot. They knock on the door and say, your ballots, come give it to me, give it to me.
They don't even pay them for it. They just take it.
No. And the ones that didn't vote on ballots, the young people and the women and stuff, they were paying cash. They were getting bags of money the last 1 week here to drive people. So there's a vested interest, but we are victims of the system. They don't give a shit about any Somali.
2 in the morning, still hustling.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots? People who work with, like Ilhan Omar and other candidates who work for them. They came to us, to our apartments. They tell us that.
Interesting. There's got to be some movement on all of this coming to pass. What's going to happen? What are they going to do? People need to go to jail. People need to go to jail. The Democrat economy explained. Federal funding goes to nonprofit NGOs or businesses like Quality Learning Center. Goes to campaign donations. Repeat. Federal funding, nonprofit, campaign donations. Repeat. Federal funding. Exactly. Now we know why nursing homes in Minnesota have such high election day turnout and vote 90% Democrat. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we don't want to listen to that guy again. He cusses too much. Let's see. Kuna Tashuda Solo Sung P. What is this?
Maaga Egawa Jacob Fry. Maaga Egawa Jacob Fry. Doke Magalada, Minneapolis. Damaan.
Oh, nothing says assimilation like a mayor having to speak Somali to a demographic that has an 85% welfare usage rate. Yikes. For decades, the structure of U.S. society, by intent and design, was remade to redistribute wealth, resources, property, and opportunity from Americans to non-Americans. Yep. This is Audrey Hale, the trans killer who killed 6 in a Christian school, was targeting Christians and white kids. Biden's FBI buried this. Black people I love was highlighted. White people I hate. Yeah, Jesus warned us about that in Matthew Nation against nation, race against race. From Eric Doherty, holy crap, FBI Director Kash Patel just revealed the Biden admin buried Minnesota fraud investigations because it potentially implicated Biden allies. The FBI is now also investigating fraud links to elected officials and terrorists. Imagine that. Good. Optimus. Actually, what does this say? I've been walking around at the Tesla office for weeks and they still haven't given me a badge. Tesla Optimus. The Optimus hardware and Tesla AI team are doing incredible work. We saw that already. What is this? Serena Williams. So flashback. So from Larry Alex Taunton, flashback. Serena Williams tells Letterman, men and women's tennis are completely different sports. If I played Andy Murray, I'd lose 6-0. 6-0 in 5 minutes. It's true. He would kill me. Men are a lot faster, serve harder, and hit harder. I only want to play with girls. Yeah. Makes sense to me. Correct. That would be much. Let's see. This is insane. With no desire to stop fraud, California politicians insist that they will start taxing property and assets of the richest Californians now. Yeah, they're incentivizing people to leave California. See, there's a little app called Google on your phone. I added Minnesota to the alerts, and sometimes I check it to give me a little boost during the day. Oh, good Lord. More, yep. All right, I'm not really seeing anything new. We're at about an hour and a half. I want to start inching towards getting these done in an hour so we have time for other things. I'm going to start getting these we're going to start summarizing these. Elon Musk, his thread is easiest to summarize. It's Donald Trump with Truth Social that's actually really difficult to summarize. I'm not seeing anything else. So this is where we left off. Okay, so we are done. Let's do a quick update on, so we got a couple more minutes here. Let's do a quick look at 3i Atlas. We got our Ray's astrophotography. See what he's got going on here. Oops. What am I doing? There.
It's getting dark really quick now. Today is December 28, and I'm capturing planets with my telescopes. I'm now getting fascinated with this Planet 9 story, and we may be getting a picture of Planet 9 soon. We may be, 1 year,
Not
2
just
years
8
away
planets,
from
solar system is
taking
hiding
a picture,
18
hopefully
worlds.
even sooner.
What?
To get a very good idea. We know where it is. We know the location, like the orbit of Planet 9. We just don't know on that orbit where Planet 9 right now is. So they talk about the planets from our school days. We have these 9 planets, then they made it into 8. Well, in reality, what we need to know is it's not the 8 or 9 planets. We actually have a total of 18 planets right now.
What?
Remaining 10 planets.
Oh, that one's got a heart
Pluto
on
is
it.
one of them. They are called dwarf planets or mini planets.
Oh.
But these are planets. They are round, they are gravitationally bound by the sun, they have weather, they all practical purposes. These are real planets. And we were not that familiar with the remaining 10 planets. Pluto, yes, we heard about it, but beyond Pluto and beyond other planets, we don't know. And some of them are orbiting between the Neptune and Pluto orbit as well. So these dwarf planets, they call them TNOs, the trans-Neptunian objects. And some of these planets are gravitationally bound by the sun, but the weird part of these trans-Neptunian objects and their orbits is something has to be keeping them in that orbit. Otherwise, Neptune would have kicked them out of the solar system one day or other day.
Yeah, I'm already getting bored. I was hoping to get an update on 3i Atlas. Normally he does one every day. This is his video today. I don't see any update. Last update was yesterday, BP Earthwatch. Avi Loeb. Everybody was seemed to be leaning towards they still believe that 3i Atlas is very likely technological in nature because of that anti-tail. They're under the impression that it's some kind of a shield allowing it to go through the solar system and protect itself from space debris. Also, they were saying Avi Loeb, I think it was Avi Loeb, I heard it via BP Earthwatch, said that the trajectory, the way it came into the solar system is exactly what you would do to conserve energy if you were going to bring a fleet of ships in and park them around Jupiter, which I'm very fascinated by that, the fact that it's parking around Jupiter and the imagery about the bride, the groom, and the parable of the 10 virgins in their lamps of oil. 5 are prepared, 5 are unprepared, because they're waiting for that call of the bridegroom, which to me, given where we are in the timeline and everything we're seeing, it makes sense that Yeshua could literally be here taking up, he could just be waiting for the order, waiting for his dad to say, okay, go get your bride. So until something else changes, that's my opinion on where we are. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to think about spaceships. I've never really considered Yeshua showing up on a spaceship until 3i Atlas. But it makes a lot of sense. And this is just the stupid person in me that needs to make things simple. Because it's either going to be like when it says that the Son of Man is going to show up in the clouds, it's either going to be like this, which is ridiculous, to see a face in the clouds for the whole world to see. I think it's far more likely that it's going to be like this. You're going to have like a spaceship that shows up that the whole world can see. And, Jesus has been away. He's been seated at that right hand of the Father for 2,000 years. Could have been building spaceships this whole time. I don't know. I don't know how that works with the dead in Christ rising. I imagine we all get new bodies. We get scooped up, we get in the ship, and then we go somewhere else while this earth gets wiped clean. Because that's really what's going to happen. So starting in here, let me fix my timeline here. I got to get signed in. All right, come back over here. So starting in, let's go here. Starting in August 12th of 2026, that seems to be the potential of when the wrath of the Lamb starts. I don't know if we're going to be here. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of a rapture event or any kind of an escape, but that's when it seems like the earth is going to start to be harmed. Because, we watching suspicious observers, the magnetic poles continue to increase their rate at which they're moving. And it could literally happen at any time. The earth could rotate, not in the way that it normally rotates. The earth rotates, for our day-night cycles, but it's looking more and more like that North Pole and South Pole are going to rotate down to the equator, which is seal number 6. And that could happen as early it could happen any time. But I'm speculating based on everything that we've seen that could happen, that could happen August 12th, 2026. But from that point forward, it's really bad for the world. You do not want to be on this planet for seal number 6 and seal number 7. If there is any way at all to escape, maybe that's why Elon Musk is rushing to get us to Mars in anticipation of this event. Yeah, he's, what was it, 135 flights to the atmosphere? What is it? They also want a base on the moon. Yeah, people are building bunkers. There's people who know far more than they're telling publicly. Maybe seal number 5 is when they actually start to publicly release the information that they know. Because there is also an element of people hiding themselves in the caves for fear of the things that are coming on the world. Maybe there is more general acceptance, more mainstream media publication of seal number 6 and what's going to happen. You know, Ben with suspicious observers, BP Earthwatch, they used to get laughed off of YouTube because they were reporting that the sun has an impact on the earth. And now they're reporting that that impact is, they're noticing the magnetic shields around the earth are getting weak. The magnetic north and south pole are shifting, and the rate at which they're moving is increasing. It's entirely possible that there's going to be that rotation, which would falls in line with seal number 6. All right, well, that's all I got for you guys today. I couldn't find anything else on 3i Atlas. But definitely exciting times ahead. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and see us here tomorrow at 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time. God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.